I'm Robin Crane, and this is the Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way podcast. Listen, I was a financial advisor for over a decade, and I got so sick of the old archaic strategies that your grandpa used to get clients. What the industry teaches today is still so outdated and just doesn't work anymore. So I had to find a better way for myself, and then I got obsessed with sharing these how-tos with other women like me. The stuff I teach doesn't require giving up your life, your sanity, or your family time. I want women like you to have it easier than I had it, so you can thrive in the industry. I've now helped thousands of women grow their financial businesses to multiple six figures, some even seven figures per year. So on this podcast, you're going to get an inside look at how they did it so you can do it too. Let's dive into the show.
Welcome. I'm here with Daphne Jones, who is a recovering life insurance agent. So kind of interesting story there, I'm sure. Her mission is to help 1 million women live their best financial life or lives. And she talks a lot about the importance of life insurance for people having it and the importance of having life insurance for entrepreneurs specifically. And another big focus that we are probably going to focus on today is really how the importance of helping Gen X women, especially Gen X women entrepreneurs, and you as a financial professional, like have this incredible opportunity to help Gen X women who really are dying for your help. So she also has a podcast and had 3 seasons there, and we'll tell you how to check her out on YouTube at the end. And she's got some opinions on Bitcoin. So who knows where we're going to go with this. But Daphne, tell us a little about just your philosophy, what's important to you, and especially when it comes to Gen X women entrepreneurs and why you think that's so important and a good potential market for these advisors and financial professionals.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I want to get that out of the way before I just start babbling. But the importance of Gen X women, well, one, we're not the biggest generation. The millennials dwarf us. We're caught between 2 massive blocks, the boomers and the millennials. And we're a bit squeezed, but we could use the information, because I remember I wasn't. And as I found when I was helping my clients, we weren't focused on our money early enough, where there's actually accumulating money and increasing our ability to earn by increasing skills and things of that nature. We were taught to chase our passions or just go to college, things will work out. And there should have been more thought and focus on our incomes.
I know there are a lot of studies on this, and I apparently am a Gen Xer, and I forgot because that's how much it means to me. As I said to you before we started recording, okay, what years are those? And you're like 6, or I said, what is that? And you're like 65 to 80. And I'm like, oh, okay. No, I'm not 65. You're like, no, 1965. I was like, oh, right. Okay. That's me. So, and I know like there's a bunch of studies on that and like how the generations really matter and how that affects your money. I don't know too much about it, but so from your perspective, you're saying, we Gen Xers, like we didn't start saving enough or soon enough. Why is that? Like what was going on during that time where we should have been saving that it wasn't happening? Do you know anything about that?
Well, okay. It's not so much saving, because I'm one that believes you need to put your money to work more so than saving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then when I say focus, I mean, just get some basic information about your money. Okay. The majority of Americans, male or female, they earn their money through work. They trade time for dollars, whether they're 1099 or W-2, right? Okay, so once you meet the basic fixed cost, you're paying you live for your living space, your food and so forth, and things of that nature. Okay, are you keeping your debt down, that consumer debt down? And then how are you getting your dollars to work for you?
But how is that different than like the baby boomers or the millennials? Like what happened during that time that like makes us less focused on that? Or is that true? Or is that just what you've experienced?
Well, it's for one thing, the boomers had a much better economy to deal with. The Gen Xers, we got caught with several major recessions in our developmental, in our earning years, they kind of set back. Then depending on which part of the cohort you're in, your college costs exploded and how it was paid for. Okay, for us early Gen Xers, we could actually pay our way through college. Okay. So by the time you get to the last half of the cohort, college had gone up over 150%. And so you've got this heavy debt, got this heavy college.
So most people in Gen X were coming out of college with big debt. Is that what you're saying? Got it. Right. So then that's what also brought them back. So tell me from the perspective of like, because I think a lot of whether advisor or doing insurance, most are not actually really intentional with who they want to attract. And I think that if anything, they might say, you know, especially ones who do AUM, everyone wants the $1 million client, right? Everyone wants someone who has $1 million or maybe the high earners, what do they call them? The Henrys or whatever.
Right.
So they want the high earners, or they want, especially if they're selling, let's say some sort of permanent life insurance, or they want the $1 million assets because they can do a 1% fee on that. What do you see as like a possible advantage of the Gen Xers? I mean, I think a lot of are coming into the $1 million mark, you know, I would imagine at this age now, especially the earlier on ones.
Right.
But what would you see as the advantage of being targeted in that area? And then how would you say like an advisor or someone of the like could focus on that to get more clients who are more ideal to help grow their practice?
Well, I think one thing you could offer is just education. There just hasn't been a lot of discussion about how to grow money. I mean, particularly you get the glamorous stuff, like you said, the high income earners, right? Mm-hmm. But we as Gen X women, we still earn a pretty good living. I mean, yeah, you have the wage gap and all that other stuff, but college educated and so forth, when you start adding that on, we're pretty good wage earners. Talk to us about what to do with the money. And safety is important. Again, you got the kids, college, we're squeezed in, we got elder parents and things of that nature. We just need information. And then, okay, this is a path that you can choose to get this money working for you. It's not too late. So that's a big thing with Gen Xers. It's not too late. You're here, you can get started now. Got to put all that other stuff that you did or didn't do behind you. Right here, right now, we can get started.
Okay. Cool. And I would just add to that I think what's happening a lot too with a lot of the clients that I've worked with, where they've gotten, let's say they focus on the baby boomers, and then you build this amazing practice and you got 50 million, 100 million, 200 million, whatever it is under management. And then what's happening is like you built that over years and years and years, decades possibly, to get to that mark. And the way you did it was through a lot of sweat, blood, and tears and hard work, not necessarily a super intentional, attraction model that I like to teach. And then you made it and you're like, I've arrived, I hit my 100 million or whatever it is. And then everything that's happening is that clients are dying and that money is not necessarily getting passed on to the money that's getting passed on to the heirs doesn't necessarily stay with you as the advisor. And they're withdrawing money because now they're retiring and they need the money. And so now the 100 million that you maybe worked so hard to get is starting to deplete itself because of death and withdrawals. And then there's the sandwich generation of that. A lot of those, even the baby boomers, they're still like dealing with elder parents. Obviously the Gen Xers have to deal with that too. I'm like, luckily not at that stage yet. But I'm very scared about it. A little bit. We give my father-in-law money, but basically, like, I think what is interesting is like some of these advisors worked so hard to get to that 100 million. I'm using that as kind of like the milestone. Some are there, some are not, some are higher. But then the new problem is that all this money is coming out every year because they have assets under management. And whereas if you can get some of these earners who, from born in 1965 to 1980, at this time right now, they're still in accumulation and heavy accumulation. And that heavy accumulation will last quite some time because people are working longer and than they were before. And so even if you have the boomers and you have these clients, if they're going to start taken off the top of your assets or, which essentially is affecting your revenue, then you need to replenish that with people who are accumulating. And this is why like a multi-generational business would be, or practice would be really beneficial. But I think that's something that people work so hard to get that $1 million, but they forget that the second they start taking that money out for distribution, when they're retiring, it starts to deplete. And
Yes.
so I think that's also a nice advantage. I just wanted to add there for that. Anything to add to that? I know you're more life insurance, but I figured the asset under management thing is definitely a consideration as well.
Well, I know what I often talk about on my channel and what I'm doing myself also is that to have some other cash generating lines, income streams of income, like for instance, dividend stocks, particularly cash flowing real estate, and interest in a business, whether it be small or large. And this is not necessarily you running a business, but this is having an interest in the business, like investing either in purchasing one that is functional and you basically setting someone else is running it, or you're involved in a franchise. Because you're right, because great, you've saved you've seven figures, mid seven figures, right? And then, as you say, you're starting to pull on the money now because you're no longer trading time for dollars, you're retired, but you still need something that's generating income of itself, not simply because you're taking away savings, but that is still generating income. And real estate and business ownership does that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. And I think that's for their clients to be more diversified and also for themselves, right? Like if we have more than one income stream. I think the hardest thing too for financial professionals is if you believe that you need to have a lot of money in the market because this is, you're saying this is obviously, I'm telling my clients this, I believe in the market. Markets are designed to go up. And then I have all this money in the market. And then you don't have these other income sources and it's your business is a one income source. And then potentially, not that you're necessarily pulling income, but the growth of your investments. And then the market goes down let's say 20%. And you're relying on assets under management. And now you just got a 20% pay cut and all of your investments also went down 20%. So I think there's also like you get hit like double when the financial markets crash or correct. Whereas everybody else, they might have some money in the market, but their business isn't necessarily going down. Now, with the recession, everything could get, start to tank. But I think it's smart to have lots of other sources. Awesome. So since we have a little extra time, like I'm kind of curious about your take on Bitcoin, which is really a swing in a different direction. But you mentioned to me like before about Bitcoin and everyone should have Bitcoin. And again, just putting yourself into the perspective of financial advisors. Now, I know some of them will say like, I can't tell my clients that they should have Bitcoin, even if they believe they should. I think one thing that is coming up, though, is education around it. And, as much as I'm sure the industry would like to tell you that, don't do that, that's way too risky and speculative. I'm curious about your take on it, because you told me before, like, you think that we should have something decentralized and all that. But what's your take on Bitcoin? And especially when we're recording this, I mean, Bitcoin has dropped from, I remember it hit 69,000. And now last time I checked, it was 27,000 ish.
Right. At 22.
And it went all the way down to like 15, which was like a really excellent opportunity to buy. But what is your take on it? And what's the real risk factor like to it? And how much do you think, if they were just going to do this on their own and forget like telling their clients, but that what they should, from your perspective, like put some in their portfolio?
Well, I'm what they call in the Bitcoin community a hodler, which means I buy Bitcoin and I hold it.
Hold it on for dear life, as some people say.
Yes, I hold it. Oftentimes the words are interchanged: Bitcoin and crypto. Now, Bitcoin by its very nature is a crypto, but is a part of that because of the technical natures on the blockchain and so forth, digital. But Bitcoin is different from every other digital coin because it's decentralized. No one controls the code of Bitcoin, which is how it's mined, and no one controls the price of Bitcoin, whether more are produced or less or things of that nature. That's why you always have the issue with the other coins, Shiba Inu, all of them. You can find the individual who wrote the code and he can change it. And that's how you get the pump and dumps and some of the things that you're going through now. So again, I buy and hold. I don't stake Bitcoin.
And do you only buy and hold Bitcoin, or do you have other?
Only Bitcoin.
Only Bitcoin.
Right.
Okay.
Now, and again, you'll have people who love Bitcoin who'll argue, well, you should try this. Nope. I got some good friends that have made a good living off of trading other cryptos. They've got shows, things of this nature. They've made a very good living, bought houses and everything. Yeah, I like Bitcoin.
You just like to hold it. And so, and when did you start investing in Bitcoin?
I got involved in Bitcoin right before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Right before.
So you got in. So right before the pandemic, it was probably in the 30s, something like that. Or was it?
No, it had done a big drop. That's when everybody got scared, because it went from like 60, it had dropped down to, it was like $5,000-$6,000.
$5,000 or $6,000. Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I started when I think it was 2017. It was very early, but it was like 2,400, and I started buying Bitcoin, and then I watched it go all the way to 20 grand in 2017, I think it was. And then drop all the way back to 3 grand something. And I was like, I swear I'm going to buy it when it gets down to 3,000. And then it got down and I was like, I don't know. I think I already have too much, I'm too far in, man. So, I did then it went, I remember when it went up to, 35,000 January, whatever year that was. And I was like, oh my God, I'm rich. And then the roller coaster of going up to 69,000 and back to now where it is. So, but I'm the same. Like I hold on to it. But I think it's interesting from a financial perspective because it seems so speculative and it's still so early in the game. So it's like, why do you have so much confidence that it's going to be around? Because I think the question is, like, for me, it's hard to believe, like, since it's went to 69,000, it's hard for me to believe it won't at least go back. But there's no reason why it couldn't crash to zero. So like, why do you believe that it will go back up and be an asset that, eventually people will hold on to? I don't know, maybe like they used to with gold or something, or have it as part of their portfolio. Why do you think it's going to last?
Well, one is the breadth and size of the network, and the fact that the code has not changed since Satoshi released it. And the only way to change the code is to get mass agreement over several million individuals who have nodes, and the transparency of it. So that's why I think it's going to stay and be here. And next of all, with what's going on with the fiat currencies, with the various central banks, it's just, I'd rather hold it. It's easier to hold Bitcoin than it is to hoard gold. So, right. That I don't have to worry about trying to protect it. So, is it really for you like a bet against the dollar, or is it more than that? I think it's a little more than that. I like the decentralization and the control of it. And it really worries me, particularly what I see going on with fiat currencies. As an American, even though I always throw shade on the fiat dollar, but it's like what's the word? It's the, for lack of a better term, it's the skinniest fat chick. They're all bad, but it's the better one because we've got the boots on the ground, and we've got the military might to protect it, and then we've got the population demographics where the country itself can sustain itself. So if when things go really bad, and I think things are going to get worse inflation wise, those two things are going to keep the dollar the reserve currency. So you're not necessarily holding on to Bitcoin because you don't believe that the dollar is I don't think the dollar is going away, but the dollar is going to lose so much value. You're holding on to it because you think it's another asset class where you can have something decentralized, where you have more control. You believe that the code is going to stay as it is. You think people will still believe in it. And truly all it is if people still believe in it, it'll still exist, right? Right. Because the dollar, the nature of what's going on in several different areas, the inflation is going to continue. So to say that that if you elect whoever you elect next, it's nothing about R or D as far as inflation is concerned. Mm-hmm. It's going to continue because of what's going on and what has happened in the past and what's going to continue to happen.
And is there a certain amount of, like, you would say, not that you're recommending, but that you like, mm-hmm. As far as in the portfolio, or you're like, you know, have at least this much, 5% in Bitcoin, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily that high. I dollar cost average. I buy so much. I think I buy weekly, and it's not buy what you're comfortable with. That's the thing. Just buy what you're comfortable with. Start learning about it. Keeping a certain portion off the exchanges where you're buying it and things of that nature. Like, because as I said, I don't stake it and I don't trade it and do options because it's expanding. I think recently they released a IRA backed with Bitcoin. So. Right.
Interesting. Well, interesting turn of events. So thanks for giving your opinion on that. So we got a couple different areas that we focused on here, but I think that was interesting because I always like to get people's opinion. And you are the smart money chick. So smart money chick is probably pretty smart when it comes to money and is a total chick. So tell them where to find you. I know you're about to expand your YouTube channel. So if you want to give your YouTube channel or give a shout out there, but and whatever you want, tell them where to find you.
My YouTube channel is Smart Money Chick TV. It's on YouTube. Instagram, I'm the Smart Money Chick. So you can always find me there.
Awesome.
So those, and then the link to my link tree is there on Instagram. So, and YouTube.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time on Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way.